Magandang hapon. Ako po si Trixie Cruz-Angeles and this is Luminous live on YouTube. We're going to talk about how the AFP's messaging seems to be getting lost and people are misinterpreting things like the DND Secretary's intent to abrogate the UP agreement with its own agency and what's going on here. Di ba? Hi, magandang tanghali. I'm going to check lang if there's audio. Ayan, meron. Okay, magandang hapon. Hi, Miss Flomen Ferrer, Princess Eureka, My Munchkin 31. Magandang tanghali. Ay, hapon na pala. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I posted today the message of the clarification message of General Antonio Parlade. He's always the one being targeted for disinformation. In fact, ito yung mga sinasabi nila. Ang sinasabi niya, to clear up matters. Okay, here's the important part of his message. Sabi, the joint statement from the universities twists my pronouncement on schools having been infiltrated by the CPP-NPA-NDF in order to recruit students to join this group that has been declared a terrorist organization by the Anti-Terrorism Council. Okay, so right off the bat, sinasabi na niya, hindi yan ang sinabi niya, yung joint statement ng 4 na universities that supposedly were in the list of 18 universities na infiltrate na ng CPP-NPA, parang pinalalabas nila na ang statement ni General Parlade is attacking the school. So sabi niya, their choice of words, haven, insinuates that the entire school is a conduit to the illegal activities of the underground movement. Webster's dictionary defines haven as a place of safety, refuge, a place offering favorable opportunities or conditions. That's not how I describe these schools. The joint statement attacks the messenger instead of acknowledging that there's a problem. The issue is terrorist recruitment. The enemy is not the school, nor its authorities, nor its students, all of whom are the victims of a most sinister list of deceptions by the CPP, NPA, NDF. Nor is this a rebuke of school authorities, but the sounding of an alarm of the existence of a clear and present danger inside their institutions, and the plea that our schools work with government to protect and defend our children from communist terrorists who lie in wait to steal our children away from us. Let us be clear about who the enemy is. It's not each other, but the CPP-NPA who have been preying on hapless and highly impressionable students for over 5 decades now. And 2, universities who are hoodwinked into believing they have shared advocacies with terrorist fronts that pretend to fight for these noble causes but are in fact just bait. They use to tighten broad alliances with the end goal of recruiting our students into their front organizations where thousands of them have died as NPA combatants. So, mahaba pa yung message, but that's the important part. What we're saying here, however, is that clearly this also indicates that there are people who are muddling up the statement because it's clear. The AFP has been very, very clear about its statements from the start. So let's begin. Let's start first with the statement or the letter of notification, the notification sent by Secretary Delphine Lorenzana to the UP abrogating the 1989 Accord. And it says very clearly there that they don't say that the UP is the enemy. They don't say that UP has been harboring any fugitives or thank you sa pangkape from Ma'am Elda Hashiguchi. Okay? So Secretary Lorenzana doesn't say that UP is the enemy. He doesn't say the faculty is the enemy. He's not saying that the students are enemies. As a matter of fact, not only does he say that the students are not enemies, he doesn't want to alienate them. He doesn't want the AFP to come on too strong and say give the impression that the tanks are going to roll in and the university is going to be under martial law. There's nothing like that. Thank you again, Ma'am Elda. So, what's going on? The secretary never said that, and yet there's so many people who have who would say things like defund UP, ayan, buwagin na yung school na yan, arestuhin yung mga teachers, let's get rid of the faculty, this belongs to the state, let's take it back. What's going on here? Those messages are clearly agitating and incorrect. Diba? Because one, the AFP is not saying to defund UP. The AFP is not saying they're going to enter UP. The AFP is not even saying that UP is a communist institution. But clearly, it is saying there is a problem here because your students are being targeted. And what we want to do is protect them. That is the message. Okay? Ulitin ko ha, the message of the DND and the AFP isn't, let's take over UP kasi pinapasok sila ng mga komunista. They don't even do that in open warfare. They don't even do that when they go to the far-flung barrios, dun sa mga sa kabundukan and all of that. They don't enter communities and say pinapasok kayo ng CPP dito, and you don't punish the community that had been victims of the incursions of terrorist organizations. What is happening here is that tinatakot yung estudyante, tinatakot yung universities. Or in some instances, the universities might be deliberately misreading the message to make it look like there is an aggressive act on the part of the DND and the AFP. There is none. Okay? Ito yun eh. Ang dali kasing gawin silang enemy. It's so easy to demonize and make the AFP and the PNP look like enemies kasi may baril sila. Kaya nilang pumatay, kaya nilang manakit, kaya nilang dakitin tayo. They can the PNP in particular can put us in jail, but as a matter of fact, people forget anybody can put anybody in jail if a person is caught committing a crime, in the act of committing a crime, warrantless arrest, citizen's arrest. Pwede po yun. And yet, there's unnecessary fear going on with some people being unwitting allies of those who are deliberately muddling up the image and the message of the AFP and the DND. Ang dali-dali sana eh. Well, while it is true that the abrogation seemed to come from nowhere, it did not. There was a Senate inquiry, di ba, on red tagging, and the AFP and the NTF-LCAC presented witness after witness after witness saying, kami, estudyante kami, ni-recruit kami. Kami, nagre-recruit mismo sa mga universities. No one is saying that the university recruits. No one is saying that the universities or the schools or the colleges are complicit with the CPP-NPA. There is neither evidence of that, nor is the AFP saying that. They're saying there is a problem. You know why the AFP and DND are not saying that the universities are doing this? Because precisely they're avoiding the issue of academic freedom. The schools have the power to determine who enters, who leaves, who is admitted, who is expelled, who teaches, who doesn't teach, what they teach, and how they teach. So if they're going to teach, for instance, an ideology that the students seem to accept so wantonly, that is part of their academic freedom. And even the AFP and the DND, they're not saying stop that. They're saying, if you're going to teach that, then you at least give us a fighting chance with their hearts and minds. Diba? Ano yung na-upload sa DWIZ na sinasabi ni John Nico? I'm looking at your comments. Hi po. Good afternoon. Ano yung na-upload sa DWIZ? Na tuloy ako, kinabahan tuloy ako. Now I might have to correct something. So, ulitin po natin ha. Okay. Yung ulitin po natin. The military's message was clear. We're abrogating the DND and UP agreement because if we don't do this, we won't even have a fighting chance. Diba? With the hearts and minds of these students. Nobody has been calling the attention of UP to the few students that have been recruited. Also, please take note, The reason General Parlade gave out the list of 18 other universities is because he wanted to make it clear, as the AFP and the ND are making it clear, this is not about UP. This is not simply the abrogation of the agreement with UP, but the AFP sounding the alarm, saying, look guys, your kids are vulnerable. We don't want to have to kill them in the hills. They're not saying that exactly, but that's the message. Ayaw naming pinapatay yung mga anak ninyo. So, kung pwede, doon pa lang sa university, makausap na namin. Okay? Okay, guys, don't forget to like and share this video. Yung mga comments ninyo, I can't help but see them. So, ulitin ko ha, baka nadidistract ako ulit. So, ulit ha, the AFP's message is clear. Who is the enemy? The CPP, NPA, NDF, not UP, not the universities, not the students. And yet, there are some people who are insisting na ang laban is universities versus the AFP. Okay? And the students are victims. Okay? The students are our victims. Guys, can you please ask unrelated questions at the end of this. Okay? Yung towards the end, pag nag-Q&A na tayo. Kasi sa totoo lang, I can see your messages but I can't, I don't want to be distracted from what we're saying here. Yung point dito is that when some of us say things like defund UP, UP starts to feel embattled. You can't say that to the Ateneo, di ba? You can't say, but you can say that to PUP and other state universities and all that. But why are we making enemies of the universities when even the AFP and the DND are very, very clear when they say they are not the enemy? The enemy is the CPP, NPA, NDF that recruits kids and bring them to the hills to die. Okay? We have to clarify this. That's why General Palade was clarifying this. He was saying that let's be clear. The enemy is not the university, not any university, not the UP, not the Ateneo, not La Salle, not FEU, not UE, not all of those. They're not the enemy, but they might be unwitting victims. The students are not getting an equal share of the information that they should be getting. They're not getting the other side. The university really is a place to open up one's mind. Okay? That's why they introduce things like critical thinking and all that. And yet it cannot be helped that sometimes the university in introducing aspects of introducing historical injustice, even current injustices and all of that, there is something missing because there are kids vulnerable to recruitment. Now, let's also be absolutely clear, ha? Kasi ang dami nagagalit. And I don't care kung nagagalit sila sa akin. But the point here is that, una-una, the UP isn't number one in recruitment. Neither is Ateneo, neither is anyway. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter who is number one. Kasi sa totoo lang, kailan yung last? Although recruitment is continuing, when was the last time that we found out about something? In 2017, may UP student na na-recruit na napatay. And yes, that's important. But 2017, ano yung mga recent? When were the most recent recruitments? All the universities are targets of recruitment. Whether or not that recruitment succeeds is irrelevant. The fact is that it is still going on. And what is the danger? The danger is that with the enactment of the anti-terrorism law, mere membership, once the NPA is proscribed, mere membership in the NPA, giving aid and comfort, diba? Giving material aid, helping in some way, a proscribed terrorist organization makes you a criminal. And so, even now, but malala kasi yung penalty pag terrorism, mas mababa yung penalty, but if they get recruited, they are criminals also. Ang daming crimes na associated with the rebellion, aside from rebellion itself. Illegal possession of firearms, if meron kang dalang barel, 'di ba? Murder, homicide, other crimes related extortion, grave threats, ano pa ba? Coercion. All of these are the common crimes that are associated with the rebellion. Once they join, they become criminals. That is the danger. And the AFP and the DND are saying that if you're not gonna say anything about it, I will. Diba? We will. This institution will. Okay? So, what is the point in all this? The point is that we should not help muddle up the issue. We are not supposed to be making enemies out of the university. We don't want to be not red tagging them, but libeling them and saying na terorista yung mga universities, na NPA yung mga faculty. It makes them dig in. And that's not the intent of the DND. That certainly was not the intent of Secretary Lorenzana when he abrogated the agreement. It certainly was not the message of General Parlade when he brought out the number of schools that are being targeted for recruitment. We don't want to make them enemies. We want to make them part of our group, part of the whole of nation approach. It's the part of all of us who want to get rid of this scourge of the NPA. Diba? Sabi ni Pesto, sa UST may naririnig akong LFS doon, and that was decades ago, booking na ang edad. Mas booking yung akin. May LFS pa rin. Okay? So we have, the problem is that we are helping those people who want to muddle the issue. Kasi ito yung sinasabi ng AFP. Okay, AFP, DND are saying, the students are victims, pinapasok kayo, universities, allow us naman some opportunity to help the kids. Will allow us to enter the universities and be able to talk to them, freely mingle with them so that we can convince them that all of these people who are trying to get you into their organizations are really recruiting you to be criminals. Things like that. However, eto na, entrada na. Even the media is complicit in this. Parang AFP is red tagging the universities. Parang big bad monster ang AFP and DND for wanting to talk to the kids. Wait, what? Diba? Parang minsan pagka kausap mo, even in the conversations in social media, akala mo papasok na yung tangte. Tanks are going to roll in. Tapos na yung mga freedom natin. Di na tayo pwedeng makaturo ng gusto natin ituro. Tapos yung mga estudyante natin, dinumero na makakatakot na martial law na sa loob ng mga universities. Are we helping that along? Are we helping the messaging of the other people? Of the people who want this to fail? Hindi ba tayo co-conspirator sa mga dilaw? Kanila yung message na yan eh. Pero different lang yung emotion sa kanila. Hala, papasok na yung military. Tayo naman, yay, papasok na yung military. What's wrong with this picture? That was not the intent. That's not the message. That's not what they're trying to do. Okay? Who is even generating all this BS? We have to be careful. If we want to help get rid of the CPP, NPA, NDF, let's not make more kakampi for them. Parang nagre-recruit tayo ng kakampi ng CPP, NPA eh. Pagka inaway natin ng UP, di sasabihin ng mga estudyante, bakit kami tina-target? Why are we being harassed? When they're not even being harassed. Or at least not by the state. Tayo ang nag-harass sa kanila. Lintik na mga taga-UP, mga komunista, mga terorista, yada, 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 yada. That's wrong. It's all wrong. It's completely wrong. It's not true. Even the AFP says, kahit ilan lang ang nire-recruit, mga 4, 5, let's say naka-4 sila in the past 4 years. For them, and for us, that's 4 people too many. Diba? We don't want to lose even just one student. That is the point. Nobody is saying that the UP is infested, okay? Meron pang mga statements, the breeding ground for chu-chu-chu-chu. If it was a breeding ground, how come we only produce what? 1 or 2 in the past, what? 2 years? 3 years? 4 years? What? Breeding ground kayo dyan, parang mga lamok. But I don't want to be angry about it. I want to clarify it. I want to make it clear. Let's all work together on this one. Let's not make more enemies para kumampi pa sa CPP-NPA, para itulungan yung messaging nila. Because automatically, if they cannot, if hindi sila pumanig dun sa DND at saka sa AFP, kanino sila papanig? Diba? O kahit hindi sila mamundo, kahit hindi nga sila ma-recruit, they will be on social media repeating the messaging of the enablers of the CPP-NPA. Diba? They will help it along. They will be thinking, magiging woke dumb sila. Sasabihin, hala, itong AFP, and they just want to come into the universities para what? To suppress our academic freedom, to suppress our freedom of speech. And it's there. Parang sinasabi nila, i-break up nila yung mga rally sa loob. And then we can hear some of us also saying things like, kasi rally kayo ng rally. Nagka-rally kami sa loob ng university, and that is allowed. That is completely and perfectly legal. Even the Supreme Court has said so. Diba? O yan. Let me, I think I've said it. I've made the message as clear as possible. Sabi ni Adrian Abuhandan, state military is forbidden to enter communities in the name of invasion. It's not Game of Thrones. Yes, but that doesn't stop people from thinking it. Diba? That is the messaging. That's and we have to understand that that's how they're doing this. Kung yung ibang mga estudyante nga naniniwala sila na if sumali sila sa CPP-NPA, pinaglalaban nila yung bayan, hindi nila nakikita the destruction that brings. What about the messaging na hala, papasok ng military dito? Don't you think na nadadala din sila doon? Sabi ni Noli Rojas, ang kalaban kasi ng gobyerno, CPP, NPA, NDF, oligarchs, student activists who are tools of NPA to recruit members, they're always ready for counter-propaganda, whatever situation government is. But I would like to make it clear, activism is not a crime. Okay? And again, if you start calling activists, painting them with the same brush as communist terrorists, those are not the same things. And if you say activist, and then later use it interchangeably with the term criminal, then you've lost that activist who wasn't a criminal yet. Sabi ni Floman Ferrer, Monday Karambola ang na-upload. Okay, we'll inform the DWIC. Sabi ni Ian Poral, pero napansin ko lang, madalas mga na-recruit is sa mga public schools talaga versus sa private schools. Oo, kasi hirap naman pumasok na dun sa mga private universities kasi kadalasan, yung mayayaman ang nandun and they don't have time for this. Sabi ni Bernalisa Hortiliano, late uli ako, galing ako doon sa Tambayan. Sa Tambayan High daw. Okay. Sabi ni May Munchkin, I encountered somebody who doesn't even know NPA and is just saying that this is another gig by the PRRD to declare martial law. It's very alarming. Yun nga. So, let's not feed into that. Buwagin natin yung messaging nila na gano'n, na, wow, martial law na, hello, what are you talking about? Diba? The good intentions of the DND, of Secretary Lorenzana, and of the AFP is not only being muddled, it is being undermined. Parang lumalabas na, hala, wala na kasing magawa ang AFP, kaya gusto nila, pati yung mga campuses natin, pasukin. Mamaya niyan, may mabaril silang estudyante, who will be responsible for that? And so on. Diba? Sabi ni Adrian Abuhandan, what tanks? We don't even have battleships, but we do have tanks. Sabi ni Stella Marillera, I'm working in a state university. Recruitment can happen anytime because in reality, the engagement of students and teachers is during classes and academic affairs. College students have a lot of other activities. That is true. Diba? Sabi ni Benedict Corpus, those are very unintelligent pronouncements po ng karamihan about UP. Di po kasi iniintindi yung dahilan bakit naging ganun ang move ng DND. That is correct. At saka hindi, ganito yun eh. I used to work in an agency where a lot of the experts were from UP. It can't be helped. There were few who were from other universities and there was at least one in particular na basta nabanggit, kasi taga-UP yan. Parang gano'n. There's a chip on his shoulder the whole time. Every time, sasabihin niya, yung school ko, tinalo ang UP sa ganyan. And I think this is part of it also eh. So, UP kasi is over-marketed as the premier state university. Yes, I have a lot of classmates who are real, true geniuses. Faculty are very, very, very intelligent. And yes, it's grueling trying to get in and grueling trying to stay in, trying to make the grade, trying to cope with bi-monthly, fortnightly exams and all of that. And really getting into the groove of the academic rigor. Plus, they need to write well and to research well and all of that. Yes, many of my classmates are captains of industry. Diba? They're just good at what I do and what they do. They're just really smart go-getters. And even yung mga bottom dwellers, yung mga katulad namin sa UP na so-and-so grades, lalo na sa undergrad. I think I was in the dead middle of my class, if not in the lower half. A lot of us still do well. And it's because also in part of the teaching, they teach us, they kind of throw us in the water and tell us you either sink or you swim. There are no two things, no two ways. You either sink or you swim. And for those of us that survive UP, we swam. And this is not an ang galing-galing ng UP thing. It's more like that because there's so many who graduated who are good at what they do. They're also natural targets. So, and I don't want anybody to buy into that. Yeah, nobody should be buying into this, dapat ang UP kasi ganyan, UP kasi ganyan. Well, I have news for you, 18 nga yung universities, hindi lang pala UP. And now, there's some people who are also invested into that, galit ako sa UP, finding out that there are more universities, medyo natatahimik sila because that was the intent. General Parlade is not out there to demonize UP. He's not even out there to demonize any university. The demon here is the CPP-NPA. Sabi ni CHEV, from the scale of 1 to Maria Ressa, oy grabe, how extreme. How OA are those against AFP's efforts to protect the students and universities from the hand of the CPP-NPA and the AF? Super duper OA. But we also have to watch out that we're not helping their messages along by making more enemies. The reason Duterte succeeds is because there is a united pro-admin group out there. I mean, we're all different. We all have different views and all of that, but we are all agreed on one thing. Duterte is doing the right thing. Diba? And if we all agree also that Secretary Lorenzana is doing the right thing, we don't want to make more enemies who are going to hit him for this. And let's face it, masyado ng defensive yung mga universities and we don't want that. We want them cooperative. And we can only be cooperative, we can only encourage them to be cooperative if we are not the ones demonizing them. Sabi ni Ian, the schools are reacting defensively. Ayaw man nating isipin, pero parang may tinatago. Are you kidding me? Para yung right to privacy, okay? We all have the right to privacy. If the state suddenly says, okay, you have no more right to privacy, sasabihin mo bang, wala namang kaming tinatago. So, okay, I will open my bathroom curtain and you can watch me take a bath. Wala kasi akong tinatago. Diba? You don't have to be hiding anything to want to guard your privacy. You don't want to have to be hiding anything to say, I don't want somebody standing over my shoulder. Furthermore, yun na nga, ang marketing sa kanila, you're the enemy, we're coming in. If that were the case, para kang nagde-defend ng bahay mo eh. Bakit gusto mong pumasok? Diba? May hawak ka ng baseball bat. Kahit walang nanakawin sa'yo, defensive ka. Yun, sabi ni Crow Fighter, taga-UP ako and it feels socially unacceptable to be openly pro-government. Maingay po talaga ang kaliwa, kahit barely 20 lang ang usual number na nagrarally. Agree. Siguro nagkikita tayo. If you're enrolled and pagka pwede na tayo magklase, you can check me out sa sa ASP, sa Archaeological Studies program. But yes, it's true. Even I feel it. Grabe yung social pressure to conform to being, leftist and all that. It wasn't so bad when I was an undergrad. Kasi ako, I was an AFP scholar. So, ang mura na nga ng tuition namin, I was only paying 50 pesos per semester. My ate was the same by virtue of my father's being in the military. We weren't natural targets for recruitment, pero kasi ang dali ng recruitment noon. Ang laki ng LFS noon, ang laki ng memberships nila. Because I was there towards the tail end of martial law. So, di ba, hindi. So, namin ni Raymond Christopher Garcia, lagyan ng border yung UP. May borders naman ng UP. If you're saying lagyan ng fence, hindi pwede. Because UP has public spaces. And the public, can go there. Pwede kang mag-jogging sa, pag walang pandemic, okay? Pwede mag-jogging sa University Oval namin. Pwede sa track and field namin. Pwede dun sa, pwede kayong, tambay dun sa, sa Sunken Garden. Pwede dun sa ibang, pwede kayong pumasok sa Vargas Museum. We can't seal UP off. That's not how recruitment is done anyway, by going in physically to the university. It can also be done online. So what the AFP is saying is that we just want an equal crack at what they're thinking. We want to be able to tell them, okay, you hear this side, what about this side? Which doesn't get any airplay in your school. Yan, sabi ni Tick Walls, may mga students kasi na no choice sa pagsali sa school orgs, kaya naiengganyo. Lalo na yung mahihina ang loob. Kaya tutukan din ito ng AFP. Dito nagsasalang-sang ang freedom sa academics. Oh, yes. Hi, Diamor David. Thank you. Yan. Sabi ni Owen Friday, blown out of proportion na lahat. Seems like people can't talk calmly without theatrics going on. Alam mo, sa totoo lang, it's because there's such a big audience for theatrics. Diba? I mean, let's face it, look, we would have probably 1 million subscribers on this channel if we engaged in possibly rougher behavior. No, kung every siguro 2 to 3 sentences mumurahin ko somebody. The theatrics, all of this spikes in emotion. People are drawn to that like moths to candle. It makes good entertainment to be, over the top and off the wall. And so we like shortcuts, diba? Because shortcuts are far, far more entertaining. So for example, somebody says, PI si VP so-and-so. Ang dami ng subscribers niya, ang dami ng mga makikinig dyan, ang dami ng ang galing-galing niyan. Sometimes we even mistake galing for the spike in emotion that we feel for what they have posted or what they have said. It's human nature. We can't blame people for that, for the theatrics, because that's the only way they're going to get noticed. And in online, notice is everything, diba? That's why we clickbait. But we have to be more discerning. That's why we do these things. Even if we don't get an audience as huge as everybody else's, if we put the idea out there, eventually it's going to take root. Diba? Bakit yung UP Mindanao ay Ano yan? Di man lang kami nakapag-jogging. Bawal pumasok sa Mindanao? Sa UP Mindanao? I have to ask. Let me check, ha? Kilala ko yung dating chancellor dyan. I will find out. Kung tingin ng mga leftist sa UP ay enemy ang AFP, palitan nila yung name. May Philippines din naman yung name ng university nila. Like I said, those are shortcuts eh. You're giving me sound bites. It's deeper than that. It's when you study, for instance, the history of so much social injustice, so much injustice in this country, and some of them generated by certain agencies, even if the agency has changed, you will still be suspicious. Diba? For example, when you hear about shortcuts made by some PNP officials, some of us will say, pucha, itong mga pulis talaga. Then suddenly, it's the whole PNP, di ba? For the mistakes of one person. We should not think that way, ever, at all. That's why sa Luminous, di ba parati kong sinasabi na yan, sweeping generalization, yung isang tao dun sa ahensya, masama, so therefore, yung buong ahensya, masama. It works both ways. Sabi ni Pesto, don't forget, speaking of which, like, share, and subscribe. Let's support Luminous. Thank you. Sabi ni Ma'am Christina, masarap daw yung street food sa UP. Yes. Yun yung dinadayo talaga ng mga tagalabas. Double yes. Nung time namin, it was the isaw. But hindi kasi ako fond of isaw. I love the squid balls. Fish balls pagka walang pera. Squid balls pag mayaman, kasi 2 piso ang isang squid ball. Mahal, ano? Tapos, ano pa, pagka wala talagang pera, nilagang itlog, yun na yung dinner mo, balik ka sa library. Ganon. I wish for those who are not in UP to see, na may sarili kasi kaming kultura, na sometimes when it's one UP alumnus talking to another UP alumnus, na people feel left out. But every school has that. Hindi ko alam kung bakit. Ngayon, sinasabi niyo mga leftists sa UP. Okay? How many are really leftist? The social pressure nga is very, very strong. And for many, the students can be leftist. But once they leave the university and it is time to make money, wala na yun. Sa aking pagkakaintindi, sabi ni Ma'am Amor Martin, ay nais lang naman ng AFP ay magkaroon ng same footing sa mga leftist at rightist movement na magsagawa ng propaganda. We are in a democratic country, so normal lang to. Very well said, Ma'am. Sabi ni Butch Ignacio, miss ko na UP Shopping Center. Ako din. Daming memories doon. Bakit natatakot ang mga leftist sa UP? Teka, ilan yun? Pati NPA, sabi ni Elmer Bernardino sa red tag. Sa SM naman lagi red tag, wala namang namamatay. Yes, but that joke has been done to death. Let's think of something else. Sa UP Cebu naman, kahit may guard sila, pero pwede naman pumasok, wala namang naghahanap ng ID. Pero nagkusa na lang ako nagbigay ng ID at nagsulat sa logbook kasi respeto na lang sa mga guards. Yes, because they're doing their jobs. May Philippine Constabulary Training Center sa loob ng UP ng 50s na partnered with the Ministry of Interior at Constabulary College na PNPA ngayon, sabi ni Thick Walls PH. Yes, thank you for that history lesson. Oo. Sabi ni Sir Ives Bakbak, squid balls sa Vanguard, fish balls kay Marivic sa Eng. Ay, nagkaabutan pa kay Marivic, ano? Sabi ni Raymond Christopher Garcia, tama, level the playing field. Hi kay Ma'am Hazel Love. Duterte Youth and League, sabi ni Butch Ignacio, and League of Philippine Parents along with military personnel hold a protest action along University Avenue, UP Diliman to denounce the alleged NPA recruitment. Yes, and if they're inside the university, then that's a score for both of us. Both the university and hindi lang League of Parents, andyan po yung LIPI, Liga Independencia Pilipinas. Andyan po sila ngayon sa loob ng UP. And let's just give them kahit support lang dito online. Mamaya I will post the pictures, so let's just like and share and repost those pictures to give support to the itong mga parents who yung mga nangungulila sa mga anak nilang na-recruit. And I think it's very good now kasi naglabas ng statement si UP Diliman Chancellor Fidel Nemenso saying that anybody can use the public spaces of UP, kailangan lang ipaalam doon sa Community Affairs Division ng UP. So, it's a good test kung pinapasok sila ngayon, then that's a good test also for the UP. And I think this is good not just for the LIPI and the League of Parents and the Duterte Youth. Si Ronald Cardema, graduate yan ng UP. Ano siya? Vanguard siya, I think. Yeah. So, if they have been let in, then this is a moral victory for all of us. Diba? For the UP as well as for us. It's a step in the right direction. Sabi ni Lisa Pagara, natatandaan ko, Cory, ang presidente noong panahong iyon, bago niya, di ba pinalaya niya si Joma, makakasama yan sa plano para ma-recruit sila ng maayos. And like I said, the recruitment isn't done by the NPA cadres themselves. Mahuhuli sila it's by the students. Okay? Maybe with some of the faculty giving directions, pero and it's not immediate, no? Sasama ka sa mga rallies, sasama ka sa mga teach-ins, kakausapin ka, you join an organization, legal ones, mahihikayat kayo to join itong mga itong mga front organizations na tinatawag, okay? Yung iba sasali sa mga political parties, bayan muna, and all of that. So, it's not a big immediate process, pero makikita ninyo na with time and sufficient convincing, yun, makakapasok sila. And then, from there, when they're sufficiently angry at the situation, they ask. Sila na yung nagsasabi, sasali ako, pwede ba akong sumali? Looking for more. Yun, sabi ni Quantum Gear, pardon me if I'm wrong, in my opinion, not all students but few who are under the NPA who become professors, experts, or politico, etc. that corrupts the system from within. And this was not addressed before P. Duterte. Yes, that is correct. And yan, it's a web. Diba? There are, according to the AFP and to the witnesses in the Senate, the organizations, the front organizations o yung mga parties, like yung mga party list ng Makabayan Bloc, they contribute to the Central Committee, they contribute to, pagka pagod na mamundok yung isa, sometimes pwede silang ipasok sa staff and all of that. And then, there are the universities. Itong mga political parties nila, mag-sponsor ng isang political party for the student council elections. So they involve themselves in the students' lives. So how come the AFP can't do that? Yun ang sinasabi. Sabi ni Raymond Christopher Garcia, sus mga hypocrites, merong yung recruitment open or underground. I don't know about the open. Definitely merong recruitment. There's no question about that. Kasi lifeblood yan ng CPP-NPA. But if they don't get new members, the organization will die. Are the universities well, it's one of them. The most recruits they get are from the urban poor. Yung mga totally dissatisfied na, hindi na sila makaahon sa kanilang kahirapan. Yun, madali i-recruit yung mga yon. Kasi in some instances, kahit paano, kahit gutom ka naman dito di mabuti na yung gutom ka pero may baril ka. Di ba? Parang ganon. Ayan. Sabi ni Raymond Christopher Garcia, tama, support the parents. Yes, please, the parents need plenty of support. the LIPI needs lots of support as well. And usually pinopost namin yung mga contact numbers nila. You can also message them and ask how you can further support them if you want to. Okay? Kasi maraming nagtatanong how they can be supported also. Sabi ni Ma'am Hazel Love, I'd like to give pang coffee, but when I click the $sign, it says not available in my region. Any other way to give? Oh, we used to post our Pay Maya. I have to ask Attorney Awesome about that. Dati nilalagay namin somewhere here. There's a link to there used to be a link somewhere here. Hindi ko yata alam kung paano kung saan na siya napunta. Yun. The more I admire President Duterte with all these things happening, sabi ni Ma'am Chacha Pamor, continuity ang mas importante, 2022 elections, guard our votes and vote for the right candidates. Somebody's asking about Paymaya. Paymaya. PayPal. Do we have a link? Where's the link?
Nandun sa banner.
Ganito. So go to our homepage. On the banner, there's a link there that will take you to our PayPal. Okay. Yun lang po. Very, very simple. Mahilig talaga mag-twist ng kwento, sabi ni Elmer Bernardino. Mahilig talaga mag-twist ng kwento ang karamihan ng media. Yung simpleng mensahe ni General Parlade na uwi sa maling pagkaintindi. Di na ako masusurpresa kung pati pagpatay kay Rizal ibibintang sa AFP. Oo, totoo yan. Totoo yan. Pati si Gabriela Silang, isama mo na. Sabi ni Nelly Ortiz, sabi ng isang professor, wala pang 20% sa total population ng UP ang mga aktivista. Mukha lang daw sila malakas dahil organized sila. Alam mo, ang laki pa ng number kung less than 20%. Less than 10% pa kamo. Tingnan mo nga pag nagrarally sila sa loob na ng university, mahirap paghatak kasi paglabas ng university kasi sasabihan ka lang, may klase ako, hindi ako pwede ma-absent. O kaya, I can't, may submission ako, may exam ako, so hindi ka makakapunta. Pero kung dito lang sa university, dapat ang dali-dali pumunta. Ilan sila? Kakalug-kalug sila. Pero yung mga media, di ba, tight shots. Parang ang dami-dami nila. Parang ang lalakas ng boses. Pero makikita mo kami sa background nila, daan-daanan lang namin sila. Which doesn't mean that I disagree with that they can rally or anything like that. Mag-rally sila. Ayoko lang sumama. Hindi naman tayo pareho ng paniniwala dyan. Ayan, sabi ni Ma'am Christina, yung mga leftists make programs like drama and arts. Dapat sa government, meron din. Imagine Chief Sinas dancing Gangnam Style. Grabe ka. Grabe kayo. Pero nai-imagine ko talaga. Nasa isip ko yan. Holy cow. Grabe the mental pictures. Ano ba? I'm going to need brain bleach. Sabi ni si Sir Daniel Tamondong, thank you very much. Good morning kay Ma'am Daisy College. She's in Ireland. Sabi ni Sir Ives Bakbak nung time ko, 94, ang mga masisigasig mag-recruit sa loob ng academe or LFS people and MMCC, Metro Manila Church of Christ, which we sometimes call the Mickey Mouse Country Club. Oo, yung mga religious organizations noon, yung noon sa amin, yung Campus Crusade. Ang lakas mag-recruit. Yung mga tipong nakaupo ka lang sa bangko, sa tambayan, kung nag-iisa ka, may tatabi na bigla sa'yo. Ngayon, pagka ganon, tatanungin ka, open-minded ka ba? Pero hindi, noon, yung mga tipong tatabihan ka, tapos chikahin ka konti, tapos mamaya sasabihin, nagbabasa ka ba ng Biblia? Ayan na, lalabasan na. So, ayun, ang lakas nila talaga noong time na yan. Sabi ni Carl Alexis Dasco, I think the reason why a lot of people have negative opinions of UP is because almost every time UP is featured on MSM, it's always the activist being highlighted. It's the perception. Well, yeah, I agree with that also. That is also true. I mean, completely true. O nga, no? Pag nakita mo yung university, imbis na yung mga outreach namin, yung mga ganon. Nanalo kami sa ASEAN debate. International yun, nanalo ang UP. Kinover ba kami ng media? No! Pero yung mga rallies parating covered. Ang galing, di ba? Tama ka dyan. I agree with you so much. Sabi ni Jiri Boy, may sumasabot tayo sa intelligence report ng AFP. Titirahin na naman ng mga kabilang parlor yung intelligence funds. They tried, pero hindi. Diba? Sana ibalik ang CAT sa high school para hindi masali sa NPA. Well, it's not the sole solution, but it's one solution, yes. Naalala ko yung 2004, sabi ni Elmer Bernardino, nilapitan ako ng isang miyembro ng Kabataang Party List. Ang galing niya magsalita, nakinig ako sa haba ng litanya niya, maingganyo ako. Tapos ang sagot ko, busy ako, tapos ang usapan. Totoo yan. Diba? And I'm sure they are used to rejection by now. Sabi ni Michael Alava, bakit po pati yung mga parents na nagrarally sa harap ng UP, ayaw din papasukin ng taga-UP, doon nag-aral yung mga anak nila. Sana po doon ang freedom of expression. Hindi po, naglabas nga po ng so we have to find out if there is a permit. Kasi ipapaalam yan. Pwede naman daw, yun nga, base dun sa statement ni Chancellor Nemenzo, pwede na po mag-rally kahit sino, kailangan lang talaga ng permit. Ms. Pesto says, can the AFP do their own recruiting inside colleges and universities? So rather than the bright minds go to the leftists, they can help the government, possibly through our ROTC or there are any other ways. May ROTC naman kami, may vanguard nga kami. So, kulang lang siguro. Maganda rin sana if the AFP has recruitment inside the universities, but the universities have to agree. Right? Like with any other university. Sabi ni Raymond Christopher Garcia, halos lahat ng media ngayon, parang Elliot Carver ng Tomorrow Never Dies, which of course I haven't watched. So, sabi ni Daniel Tamondong, if I'm not mistaken about UP, maybe there is some professor that are supporting the leftists. Even if there is, what do you mean supporting the leftists? Being leftist is not a crime. So what's wrong with that? Don't mistake leftists or communists with terrorists. Kasi pwedeng communist-terrorist group. Meaning the term communism only describes the terrorist organization's ideology. But you can be a communist without being a terrorist. You can be an activist without being a communist or being a terrorist. Because I'm a cultural activist, diba? Activist for culture and heritage. You can be leftist and not be a communist, diba? Completely. You can be a socialist. Yun nga, it's the problem with media and so even social media is that we're going for clickbait. We're going for the soundbite, the shortcut in the reasoning. So if we label somebody, you don't have to find out deeper things about that person. So for example, itong taong to, dati member ng ganito. Even if that person is no longer a member, let's say dating member ng Gabriela, umalis na siya. Are we still going to judge that person based on past membership in Gabriela? Or has that person changed? Diba? These nuances kasi, we're often too busy to want to delve into that. So it's very easy to label people. Yellow, red, communist. And then the labels get muddled up. Sometimes yellow becomes communist, becomes terrorist, becomes leftist, becomes socialist until we don't even know anymore. So let's avoid the shortcuts. We answer ideas. We don't want to tingnan niyo sa we can heckle our politicians. That's allowed. Okay? In fact, heckling, if you criticize and you heckle, it's because you're heckling because you're criticizing, then that's actually a good thing. Pero yung making shortcuts in the argument, no. It's not, kumbaga, it's not good for us because we want a thinking electorate. We want people who can make distinctions so that hindi madali siraan yung mga taong gusto natin iboto. Yung mga ganun. We are not led into decisions made without introspection, without studying it at all. Sabi ni Ian, Elliot Carver is James Bond's main nemesis in Tomorrow Never Dies about fake news or using news to manipulate countries or the public. Okay. Media is really biased, sabi ni Daisy Collies. They rather televise the singing talent of Kaki than the accomplishments of PRRD. Clifford, I will not comment on that because first of all, if you're going to ask, you don't put in the section and assume that I will know it verbatim. I know what section 29 is, but I also don't know what Dean Santa Maria says. So I'm not going to, also, I try not to react to people. I will react to what they say, pero only when I've seen it already. So I'm sorry, I can't react to that unless I know what he said. Sabi ni Daniel Tamondong, that is why we are thankful because we have been educated through you. Oh, not just through me. I'm sure you've read other people. You give us info and teach us on this matter. Yes, but don't stop with me, ha? I'm not like the only person you should listen to. And I'm glad that most of you here, you listen to SAS, you listen to TP, and to other people. And we need to also look for more people who make in-depth discussions. I encourage yung mga of course we have social media superstars, but we really need to look at those who take the pains to explain and who explain the logical progression of things. It's not a good idea to go for the shortcuts. Although there are really, really good people out there who can distill an idea, make something like a lecture that should be 3 hours long into 2 paragraphs and explain everything very clearly. So we need to look for more people who can do that for all of us. Sabi ni Pesto, speaking of soundbites, MSM on social media creates a lot of these images of a person or subject in the quoted line that he or she said. It's like a card, di ba? Oftentimes the actual message being put across gets lost. Because it's only a fraction. Now, there could, for if you're on the run and you need just the basics. But if you want to understand the issue, you have to read more about it. And it's not just the news, no, because the news can have, they're not disallowed from editorializing. Diba? Sinasabi nga nila ng mga news people is that they vet their information. Oh, yes. And in fact, you also choose what information we hear and what we don't hear. You choose. And that the choosing which particulars about you may be telling us everything that is factual, but even the arrangement of how you tell us, 10 paragraphs on one particular side being heard, and then the last paragraph, so and so could not be reached for comment. Yeah. Even these choices made by the media is a form of editorializing. It's a form of taking a side. There's no such thing as an objective media. So we have to also look out for that. And always keep that in mind. That sometimes they will give us truths and they will be factual. They will be true. But sometimes they're missing context. And that's what you're saying. And you're absolutely right. Sabi ni Ma'am Christina, ang natutunan ko sa Luminous, wag mag-ad hominem, debate the points, insert ad hominem, then summarize to bring home the point. Good one. Where can you find a copy of the Anti-Terrorism Act? You just need to Google it. It's also, if you can find the Filiuris online, it's also there. Sabi ni Thick Walls, natatawa nga ako sa story ng pinsan kong nasa UP, nagalit sila sa oligarkiya, bakit di sila nagrarally sa Techno Hub ni Ayala? Because it's private. Sabi ni Luis Candelario, mali po ang upload ng Karambola today. Opo, but I'm not at the office, so I'm going to just call the attention of DWIZ. Sige po, sige po. Walang mainstream media ang nagko-cover sa mga rally na parents ng missing students who allegedly joined red groups. Sana may politiko nila. I stayed in the Rizal Hotel until 11 p.m. Wow, si Sir Jerry Boy, thank you. Me, I'm listening to both sides of the argument, sabi ni Ma'am Amor. Hindi ako kontento sa iisa lang na kwento kasi mahirap yung sumusunod sa isang argumento. Kasi para kang kumakain ng iba ang umuya. True. Very, very, very true. And don't go for those bloggers who say just listen to me. Okay? Iba yon. Don't unless they're just kidding, in which case okay lang yan. Sabi ni My Munch, can we really need to instill in our minds na it should be communist terrorist? Yes, I agree. Sabi ni Daniel, yes, I mean the communist or terrorist groups. No, not communist or terrorist group. Terrorist lang yung crime. Communism is not a crime. Anong kaibahan ng protest at rally? Yung ginagawa ng mga parents na di pinapapasok, rally o protest yun? There's really no difference. Rally is a form of protest action. Merong iba, sit-ins, mga upo lang sila dun sa lobby, di sila aalis. Hunger strikes, form of protest. Diba? Ayun, sabi ni Ma'am Christina, dati may humikayat sa amin mag-rally against tuition fee increase. Sabi ng prof ko, okay lang sumama. Di tatag na absent. Kaya ayun, nag-mall na lang kami. Ay grabe sa amin, chinecheck yung attendance sa rally. So, sabi ni Quantum Gear, in the pursuit of trad media for money and propaganda, king-making, etc., for example, ABS-CBN, na natatakpan ang mga students ng UP na walang kinalaman, pati na reputation ng school. Yes. Parang ang sakit rin for those of us na teka, ano bang ginawa ko? And suddenly, somebody's trying to call me a communist or a terrorist and all that. So, yung mga tipong, teka muna, pagkatapos kong mag-hours and hours and hours of explaining in Karambola, in Tambayan, on live, on Facebook and all of that, tatawagin mo akong ano. This was the worst, ha? The worst was, you know how I post the, pagka-birthday ng isang national artist and all that. So I posted one of Wilfredo Maria Guerrero. Sabi ba naman ng isa, taga-UP yan. Sabi ko, tulad namin dito. Oo, lahat kayo taga-UP, masasama kayong tao or something to that effect. Blocked. But the point here is that, how logical is that? This guy, Wilfredo Maria Guerrero, wrote, and despite all of that, despite its artistry, despite the lessons that you're going to learn, you will brush off Wilfredo Maria Guerrero for the simple reason that he's from UP. Wow. Di ba? Really, just, wow. Ano yun? Greetings from the UK, guys. Sabi ni Carl Alexis Dasco, that's why it's better to double-check everything we see in MSM. Yeah. Sabi ni Pesta, I really think we need to put it out there. There's a big difference between being a communist and a terrorist. Hanggang ngayon pa rin, maraming tao can't make the distinction. Yeah. Tapos minsan, alam mo, ipopost ko yan sa Luminous, communism is not a crime, but terrorism is. Hisagutin pa ako. Pero most terrorists are communists. Of course not. Hiyang-hiya naman ang abusayap sa inyo, di ba? So, don't get stuck in to the labeling or shortcuts or sweeping generalizations because it works against us also. Di ba? That's why, Yoshi. Okay, kung may nakikita kayong dog, ayan o. Yes, baby dog. Hi! Si Yoshi. Sinasabi niya sa akin na more than 1 hour na daw ako. 1 hour talaga yung alarm clock for the dogs. So, sabi ni Elmer Bernardino, thanks to you, I've learned to look at both sides. Before making any comments or actions, emotions are no longer my basis for decisions. Yan. Same goes din sa PUP, sabi ni CHEV, which are being generalized by somebody as activists and so on. Oo. At saka wag yung school. Kung magaling yung tao, de magaling, let the person claim na it's my school that taught me to do this and that. Pero yung tayo, ay nako. Sabi ni Michael Alava, nagpapasalamat po ako at halos lahat nababasa ninyo ang mga tanong namin. Unlike po sa Karambola, mga tanong namin doon hindi po nasasagot. Kumbaga limited lang yung mga nasasagot doon. Oo, kasi mahaba yung pagtatalakay in the studio, di ba? So, dito talaga, that's why we have live. And yung ganito yung format talaga natin sa live, sasagutin talaga yung mga tanong ninyo. Kaya there are times nga, na minsan ang ikli lang nung solo ko, nung spiel ko. Tapos, most of the time, I will be answering your questions because that's how we learn. I also learn from the questions you ask because sometimes I need direction. What information do people need? Where should we look further? when discussing certain issues, di ba? So, it helps all of us, and it helps raise the level of discussion that's out there. Hindi tayo nasa stuck sa ano, although minsan it's fun, calling out the yellows and this failed liberal party. Ang saya-saya to do that sometimes, often. But when discussing issues of national interest and we want to help, then we have to be informed, di ba? And so that's why we discuss. Sabi ni Carl Alexis Dasco, sana 3 hours na lang ang karambola. Diyos ko po. Wala na tayong live pag nag 3 hours kami. Sabi ni Kalum Azogral, ramdam mo na pag matanda ka na, more inclined ka na sa mga national issues. Thanks. Na-enjoy ako kakapakinig sa inyo. Oy, thank you. Sabi ni Ian, na-appreciate namin na nababasa niya lahat ng comments at questions namin, whether bad or good. Well, not 100%, but yeah, as much as possible, as many as I can. Bright and beautiful, where could we ako pala yun. Where could we find the link regarding the international community requiring PH government to be stricter in EMLC laws? UN yan eh. Which, AMLAC laws, teka, tatanungin ko kay Boss Conrad, hindi ko storya yan. But yeah, I actually saw that. Hindi ko binookmark. I'll try to post it sa Luminous. But check sa UN sites. Nag-google naman yan eh. And speaking of karambola, sabi ni Elmer Bernardino, alam ko wala ako sa lugar ngayon, pero ba't di pa namin nakikita si Winner? Once a year, pinapakita namin si Boss Winner. Pero hindi namin napakita pala nung Pasko, no? So, pinakita na kasi siya ni Sir Jojo. Qualified ba tawaging proletariats ang mga communist terrorist groups? I think irrelevant eh. So, sana may guesting ka din, sabi ni Quantum Gear, para extension ng karambola na din. Guesting saan? Sabi ni Ma'am Presi, good Tuesday. Watching from London, na-miss kita sa tambayan. Maganda rin po yung tandem ng 3 respective lawyers. Maganda po kung may day na kayong 4. Lucky live ka po. Okay. Yes, ma'am. We will try. Off topic, pakwento naman yung pansit na dala ni Attorney Gadon kanina. I heard masarap daw. Ay, totoo. Yung noodles pa lang, ang sarap na kahit walang sahog, by itself, super duper, malasa na siya. Doon pa lang sa noodles, ulam na. O, yan na yung kwento. Oo, masarap magluto si Attorney Larry. Hindi lang pansit. Sabi ni Bernalisa, basta alam ko na hindi lahat ng rallyista ay aktivista, karamihan ay sa grades lang. Totoo yan! Simple lang ang dapat gawin ng government to fight insurrection, sabi ni Jonas Tampus. Just strengthen the national ID law, register all SIM cards, that will solve half of our problems. Yes, but it doesn't solve the need for students to explore. So we have to answer that also. Ayan, sabi ni Carl Alexis, we thank you ha. It's the UN in the Financial Action Task Force. Thank you. Looking forward na ma-interview din kayo ni Sas sa YouTube niyang Dialogue with Sas. Magkakilala na kami ni Sas at saka nagla-live akong madalas. So, I don't think you'll hear anything new. Kapag nag-interview si Sas, let her interview other people. Na-interview nga niya si Ma'am Inday, di ba? Blessed Tuesday, sabi ni Eugene Agustin, may karambola upload na po ba? Team replay here. Wala pa po. Sige, paano ko? Ay, hanapin ko. Hindi ba siya nakapost dun sa wall ko? If you can check kung nakapost siya sa wall ko, dun yun na lang muna panoorin. Good PM, malimit ko pong napapanood, sabi ni Ma'am Esther Pagay. Yung programa nyo, isa po akong OFW, nakakalungkot po sa mga nababalitaan namin sa mga kabataan, lalo na po sa mga students na pinapaaral ng gobyerno. Sayang. Yes, kami din concerned. Sabi ni Ma'am Daisy, sana may interview ka ni Banat at ni Mike Abe. Ano naman ang i-interviewin pa sa akin na hindi nyo pa alam? Ang dami nyo nang nagla-live nga ako halos araw-araw.
I-guest ko daw si Attorney Larry or si Sinas. Diyos ko, parang tuwan-tuwa si General Sinas sa akin. Pero si Attorney Larry, sige minsan, interviewin natin si Attorney Larry. Maraming salamat kasi inip na yung dogs. Maraming salamat sa pagsubaybay sa live natin today. Don't forget to like and share, click subscribe. And for those na walang super chat sa kanilang area, dun sa banner ng Luminous, dun sa homepage namin, click on the upper right hand, the link, and that will take you to our PayPal. Completely voluntary. Maraming salamat. Sa lahat ng sumabaybay at kausap natin today. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow, Karambola, and magla-live ulit tayo baka tomorrow on Facebook. See you!